Welcome back to World Drum Club, everybody. Hey, I'm Kalani, and I'm super excited. Today, I've got a buddy of mine who wrote a couple books, and we're going to say hello to the one, the only, Dave Holland. There he is, playing the marimba. What's up, my friend?
Well, hey there, Kalani. Great to be here. Hey, you just happened to crash into my studio.
Yeah, we've
World
got
Drum Club East Coast.
yeah, Dave's in Atlanta area, right? And I'm in LA, so yeah, we're covering the entire country. Good to see you. Yeah,
Great.
I
Good
miss
to
hanging
see
out,
you.
man. I haven't seen you live for, since before the pandemic.
It's been a minute for sure, for sure. Jamming across the country like this is not nearly as much fun as being in the same room for sure.
That's for sure. But we're going to cover vis-a-vis a couple books, and we're going to show you
Hey,
guys what
looky
they
there.
are. Yeah, and you know what, Dave? I got to say congratulations, and, just good for you for publishing two and maybe more. We'll talk about that later. Children's books. I think that's so awesome. Congratulations.
Hey, thanks for your enthusiasm and thanks for sharing it. That's something that as a teaching artist, combining the art form with something else is pretty much what we do on the regular. And folks often said, it'd be nice if you had something that you could, leave at the school after you visit. And so the kids' books seem to be a pretty natural thing to combine my love for literacy and, of course, my love for reading. Is That's how the Rhythm Rhyme series came about.
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense, and I think we can all appreciate a really colorful, nice children's book. I mean, who doesn't like that? What I want to do is I want to take this whole screen back for a second, and I want to show some people, and we're going to come back, and we're going to take people through. By the way, you guys, if you're watching this and you're wondering why am I watching this, we're gonna Dave and I are gonna talk about how you can take a children's book, and we're going to, of course, focus on Dave's books, but this can apply to many books. What you can get out of it, how the lessons that you can help your students learn, the importance of music and literacy, and how all these things can come together, not to help not just music, but to help the whole person grow, the whole community. So we're talking about a lot of things: mood, social skills, being proactive. Just so many great pro-social topics and life skills and everything. So that's kind of what you're going to get out of watching this video if you decide to stick around, which I hope you do. All right, so Dave,
and
I'm
not,
gonna
and not just
yeah,
not just for kids anymore.
right, right. I think we all need this. We all need this. So I'm gonna show people the first. I'm gonna show you guys a look. Here we go at the overhead. And this was Dave's first book. This is called The Llama Who Rocks in Her Polka Dot Socks. And how fun is that? So we'll take a look, but look at that. Colored polka dots. And we're going to get into, I just want to show you how the book, kind of the main look of the book. And Dave's going to take us through the first couple pages here. So let's go back. I want to hand it over to you, Dave, and just give us the overview and what do we need? What do we need to know? And how do we
Well,
use it?
first you mentioned the look of the book, and yeah, I've got to mention Bianca Silva, the illustrator of that first book. She really brought that character of Lulu the llama. That book was sort of modeled after my experience being a father and the little lessons that I would teach my daughter on the way to school, just in terms of just making good choices every single day at home, school, community, and so that's what Lulu does. You wanna play around with the first couple of pages?
Sure. Yeah, let's do that. Before we do that, though, I want to say that my take, and because I want you to correct me if I get this wrong, but my take is Lulu is a very active, llama. She loves to do things. She's volunteering at the pet rescue. She's exercising. She goes to the gym. She is. What else is she doing? I just reviewed it, but she's doing so many things. Um, she's doing a lot of good things in the community. She's taking care. She makes it a point to visit with friends. To help her mom cook dinner, to do things. And every day she wears a different color pair of polka dot socks. And then multicolor on the weekend, but that's later. We'll get to that.
Oh
I
yeah,
kind of,
Don't spill the beans yet.
Yeah. I was reading this and I was going, I think Lulu is doing all these things to boost her college entrance. College entrance. It's like she's like AP.
100. Another message that I tried to give my daughter as often as possible.
Yeah, she's like the classic AP student, volunteering and doing this and doing that. All right, so go ahead. Yeah, what do we need to know? And I'll go back to the overhead and show people what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
sure. Well, okay, because my concept, and I believe this can be done with many different kids' books, is to incorporate rhythm, so the rhythm and rhyme. Rhyming is a very important thing for 3s, 4s, and 5-year-olds, and so we want to set up a rhythm. For this one, I'll use a simple body percussion rhythm. So say hello to Lulu. She's a llama, don't you know? She takes her Lulu style wherever she may go. She's a funky, friendly llama. Her manners are unique. So let's go along with Lulu as she travels through her week and learn how Lulu rocks in her polka dot socks. So that sets up the rhythm rhyming scheme and sort of gets us ready for an experience in both literacy and rhythm making.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited to learn more about how you use this. And should we go on the pages?
Well, I just want to. I think that's as far as the the taste of the rhythm and whatnot. But if you'd like to do a little bit of a sneak peek
Yeah.
into the Saturday, so she chooses
Saturday.
a different color sock every day of the week, and then on Saturday she picks out a multicolor pair. And that's when she invites her friends to bring their rhythm all to share. And so this is the very first book of its kind to introduce kids to the group rhythm making experience or the drum circle. There she is picking out her multicolored socks. And now she's introducing sort of rhythm making to her friends. So this is the sort of modern day drum circle experience where there is, in my humble opinion, there should be playing, singing, and dancing.
Hmm.
And so you can see her friends there all listening. It introduces kids to the concept of facilitate as opposed to teaching or leading, and so they have a big backyard jam.
Yeah, and there's a lot of. I like that you have the kind of call and response thing. Like there's a few of these in there, right? And I
Oh
love
yeah,
the
yeah.
graphics. Yeah, it's just so much fun. I
She
mean,
did.
yeah,
She did
even
a great job. And
the
yeah,
font.
there's
Yeah,
the timbre sets, drums go boom, and bells go ding, and shakers, and
yeah,
so all the different timbres of the different instruments are
yeah.
included there. And then of course on Sunday, Lulu goes barefoot because you got to learn to take a break, right?
I like that. Yeah, when I read through this again just before we met here, I was like, oh yeah. She completely chills out. She takes her socks off. She's in a hammock and she's just like chilling out. I think you said she was like reading a little bit, and then but then she was
Yeah.
just like, I'm just gonna take a nap and relax.
And then, of course, she ends with an invitation about how do you rock in your polka dot socks. And of course, when I'm
Yeah,
with kids, we make the point that do you have to have polka dot socks to rock, make good choices? No, of course not. You can rock in anything you have and anything anywhere you are and anything you do because you can rock like Lulu.
yeah,
So it's trying to get this into the hands of school counselors would be great. I see it has benefit there. Even perhaps music therapy, speech language pathologists, that type of thing. You and I were talking before that if you ask a horn player or a string player to talk about their playing, they use a lot of the same language that a speech language pathologist does. So if you're combining music and literacy, you're working on phrasing, breathing, articulation, um, fluency, that type of things. So you're going to get the same thing whether you're playing a violin, a horn, or whether you're reading. And so on the website there that we'll get to, I guess in a little bit, there is also a read along version of the book with the author that has a sort of a jam track as well. So encouraging kids to be creative both within the book, but also to hopefully, like you said, get outside of this particular book and into a more musical approach to literacy across the board.
Yeah. I like that. To me, there's two main sections of the book, right? There's the first section where we learn that she has diverse interests, and it shows her dedication and diversity and her own style and her own way of being unique, but also welcoming other people who are unique. So we've got that message of diversity, difference, everybody's different, and that's good, right? We've got that. And then the second half is really more focused on the musical part, where we learn a little bit about the instruments and the sounds, but also the concept of listening, of like attentive listening, and then contributing and having, you know, unique contributions to the whole circle, right? The whole drum circle kind of metaphor.
Yeah.
And then, of course, at the end, like taking time for yourself and just relaxing. So I really feel like, yeah, as a music therapist, music educator, I would certainly lean into those ideas. Listening is super important. Of course, listening is really at the start, at the root of not just music making, but effective communication. Not talking and just receiving information, and so we can make good choices, and we can get out of our own head a little bit and entertain other perspectives, which is super important. So yeah,
I couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, no, thanks for that. That's the intention, and I invite folks to sort of use it the way that they want to with those ideas. But then I also welcome music teachers saying, oh, we actually did this in this way, and we created a whole song. There are some folks out there that are creating curriculum around that book for different purposes, and I think that's fantastic. Because that's the creative process, right? To continue to add and develop as you go along. So I see this as a fun springboard, but then I welcome new ideas as well.
Yeah, I mean, and anytime you introduce color, a range of colors into a product or a program, you can certainly go any direction from there. And a lot of teachers, as we know, use the chroma note system, which a lot of people know as the boomwhacker colors. For notation, or you can use it as graphic things for games, and colored dots, and colored scarves, and all sorts of things. So yeah, I could see this taking a lot of different forms, not just a play along to the reading, for example. That could certainly be the start, where you have some interactive. Could you paint me a picture real quick of, how have you used it? Just one example of you've got the book, you're going through the book. What are the kids doing, or what are the students doing?
Well, there are parts in the book you notice, and that's how Lulu rocks in her polka dot socks. So there's that hook that so it keeps kids on track throughout the book.
Yeah.
Then every author's visit ends up with a big jam, and so they get a chance to play, and then. If there's time, we allow, hey, who wants to be Lulu? In other words, who wants to step into the middle of the circle and bring down the volume so that everyone can hear? Or invite someone to solo while the others, they all cheer.
Right.
So it also invites leadership among early readers as well.
Oh, yeah. And there's the singing part, too.
Don't forget the singing part.
Yeah. I love this. Yeah, and I think it's important also to have that refrain, and there she is chilling out, right, at the end, listening to the bird. I like that it has that refrain, of course, because, I mean, it's basically like rondo form, right? So you have something, and then you have the refrain, then you have something else, and you've got the refrain. Because that is very anchoring, and it's always something that can come back and be familiar to the students, and they can participate in that way as a chorus. Of course, I mean, this is an age-old format, so I appreciate that you have that form, where you have the leader and then the chorus, and then something else, and then the chorus again. So that's a great format to keep people engaged, and to, of course, reinforce the whole idea of that we
Right.
that's how she rocks, in her polka dot socks.
I typically chant it and sort of
Hmm.
rap it, but I know some other teachers have created songs around that refrain, which is fantastic. And it could be Lulu the opera. who,
Hmm.
who
Yeah,
knows?
absolutely. Yeah, you can have, or they could say it in a different way, each time or something. I mean, there's so many possibilities there.
Right.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for letting me share Lulu with you.
You're very welcome. And
Well, but wait,
should,
there's more.
whoa, what is that? Yeah. All right. So let's take a look at this one. This is Dave's. This is your second book, and let me show a little peek from the overhead again. And hold on. Oh yeah, I don't want to delete that. I want to show. I almost deleted something. All right, this is Itsy Bitsy Blues, the untold story of a very famous spider, and I wonder if people can guess which spider we're talking about. Shouldn't be too hard. It involves a spout. Although you don't really say that. You don't really talk about the spout much. You just, Itsy Bitsy was down the dumps almost every day. Whenever.
So
Oh, there it
the
is.
story.
Yeah.
The story, yeah, that's right. The story is the story, and this is the untold story. This is the rest of the story, Paul Harvey.
Yeah.
If you will. Hey, if you want to, we can rhythmify that
Yeah.
first couple of pages if you'd like to.
Let's do it.
So, while we're looking at the illustrations, I want to definitely acknowledge the illustrator of this book and the upcoming book. Sasha Zelenkevich is a fantastic illustrator. As a matter of fact, I was recently traveling through Italy and got a chance to visit her in person, which
Oh,
is
nice.
something that doesn't always happen with these long distance artistic relationships. But
Yeah.
fantastic, and just what a talented, really. Very, very fortunate to find her.
Mm.
So you heard me playing a little bit of the xylophone. This is an inspiration from my Orff teacher friends because it is the blues, it's Itsy Bitsy Blues, to incorporate the blues and to introduce the blues, or to use this to introduce the blues seems to make some sense. What I did here is I took an alto xylophone, pulled out the C and the F, and inserted a B flat to create the G major blues scale. And because it's a blues, we have to add a little bit of a blues beat, of course, with my little mini hi-hat. And because it's World Drum Club, we've got to play some drums. So I'll set up a very simple motif here on the xylophone. Itsy Bitsy was down in the dumps almost every day. Whenever he got to the top of the spout, he was always getting washed away. It was always the same old story, always the same old news. Now Itsy Bitsy Spider had the big time blues. Now the big time blues are the kind of blues that make you wanna cry. You try to think of happy thoughts, but you can't, and you don't know why. 'Cause when you're feeling blue, you just wanna go boo-hoo. So there's the introduction of Itsy Bitsy and how he ends up with the blues. And he goes on to do everything that your mom and my mom probably told us to do when we had the blues, is to, hey, have a sandwich or take a walk or play with your toys. And so
Right.
he tries pretty much everything that he can to get himself out of the blues. The main point is that he doesn't give up until there he's sitting, twiddling his exoskeletal thumbs,
Right.
and then he gets a brilliant idea. I'll go and play on my what? I'll go and play on my drums. And so this book introduces kids to the timbres and the parts of the drum set, with the boom, 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 rat a tat tat, and on your little hi hat. And
Right.
so Itzy uh, goes from having the big time blues to playing the big time groove.
Mm.
And the big time groove is the kind of groove that makes you want to dance. You play it for a while, you're sure to smile, and those blues, they don't have a chance. So
Mm.
that's the story of Itsy Bitsy, as as told
Yeah.
by Paul Harvey, the untold story. The rest of the story.
Nice. Yeah, I think we can all appreciate that. As musicians and drummers, of course, I think we live that that life lesson of just doing, going to a place of creativity and being proactive. I mean, it's nice to go for a walk, but when dressing up and food kind of fail us. I mean, those are more external things, I think. But
Yeah.
my sense of this, and from my perspective, is that when we create art, when we create something, it's coming from a much deeper place, and often that's where we find joy. Right? Is in the flow of creativity, spontaneity, expression. And maybe that's a little bit of the difference there between those other activities, which are more receptive or more comforting. It's one thing to comfort ourselves, but how do we really break out of the blues? I think we express our joy. We find a way to express ourselves. That was a big takeaway. But what do you see there
No,
in addition?
well, Doctor Doss, I couldn't agree with you more. I think you're I think you're right on it. We often go to the things that are external first, and then with a little bit of guidance, a little bit of contemplation, and of course, you and I have these conversations often. Music's really where it's at, and if we'll just remind ourselves of that and take some time for the music every day, take some time to play, certainly practice, because that's what we do as musicians, but to take some time to play just for ourselves, because we are musical beings. And I think that's the realization that Itzy has, is that, hey, I'm really a drummer because I just forgot that they were over there, and let me go do that for a while. And I think it's really important that we remind ourselves the musicians inside of us, the drummer inside of us, needs to come out.
And it's a externalization too of what we might be holding in, so that there can be cathartic in terms of a release of energy that's pent up. It can also be an example of the joy that is not being expressed, that we hold inside. So either of those things are pluses. I'm just going to add from my personal, my lived experience these days. I've been giving some music therapy sessions at a addiction treatment facility lately, and these folks are classic itsy bitsy blues folks, right? A lot of them they suffer from depression. They are in recovery, so it's not easy. A lot of them have doubts, self-doubt. There's a lot of there's a lot of things that are not going well for these folks, but they want to do better. They're looking for something, and I encourage all of them to take up some sort of hobby. It doesn't have to be, it's not about performing or anything. It's not about achieving any arbitrary professional level of skill. It's not about that at all. It's about do something creative, right? It could be movement, it could be singing, but I'll introduce like drums or Native American style flute or ukulele and say, look, you can change your life with 3 chords or 4 chords on the ukulele.
True.
You can change your life with 5 notes on the flute. You could change your life with a couple rhythms on the drum and 3 tones and go hang out and play, you know. And yeah, so it is life changing. Whether you do it alone, by yourself for fun, you know, with other people like Lulu did. So I like that these books kind of come at the same solution from 2 different places.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I think it needs to be said, a little obvious, but with as much time as we adults and especially kids in this phone-based childhood that seems to be you know, pretty popular, there's a whole lot of this and not a whole lot of, you know, taking things off the page and going to play like Lulu. So the more that we as parents, teachers, community leaders can support library programs, more reading programs, and more arts for play sake programs, I think the healthier that our communities are going to be.
Couldn't agree more. I think, you know, a lot.
Like I
Yeah,
said,
we're
it's sort of stating the obvious, but apparently the obvious needs to be stated a little bit more, and that's the other reason that I decided to create these books is to try to hopefully get kids to see themselves in Lulu, see themselves in Itsy Bitsy.
yeah. I think we do need more resources to counterbalance the ubiquitous, you know, availability of a kind of a swipe left, swipe right, swipe up and down, scroll, you know, behavior and culture where we're just taking in a lot of, and let's be honest, a lot of what is online is just, you know, what's the phrase, brain rot, you know. It is. It's just stuff. It's just, you know, stuff to go, oh, look at that, look at this. But it's not really producing anything. And it's when we're doing that, we're really largely, you know, sedentary. You know, we're not really being creative. We're not really of course, we're not interacting. We're not listening to things in real time, like people even talking in real time. I mean, so
Yeah.
making music is, you know, with face to face, like we talked about, like we miss that, you know, because we understand the importance of it and just the joy. It's just about being joyful. And, you know, like you said, we are musical beings. You know, we're meant to move, we're meant to sing, I think, and just be joyful. And we can see evidence of that all around the world, of people creating music because it helps them feel better. So I do think we need to we need tools that will unpry ourselves from screen time.
Absolutely. Hey, speaking of which, drum roll.
Ba-ba.
I never thought you'd mention it.
Let's go.
Hey,
What's that, Dave?
Well, this is the third in the Rhythm and Rhyme series. As a matter of fact, as we speak, the very final finishing touches are being put on it, and it'll be available in May. And this is the story of Barry the Offbeat Bear. I think it's a good segue because you were talking about folks that are trying to find their way. And this is what happens to Barry. He loves to play, he loves to sing, and he loves to dance, but nobody will let him because he's always offbeat. And then Lulu comes back in and makes an appearance because Lulu obviously understands how to find the beat, and she reminds him that he's been looking for the beat in the music, and he's got to first find it inside himself. So he's been doing all the outside work, but until you make the internal connection, you're going to be a little bit lost. And I know that as a drummer, I never had anyone have me walk to the beat and really create pulse ownership. I was all about playing with the hands. How fast can your hands move?
Yeah.
And so as someone who teaches, I'm always about trying to own the pulse and own the beat through large movement, as well as getting that. So this is also illustrated by the great Sasha Zelenkiewicz, and available in spring 2025.
Oh, nice. So coming right up. And here is where you can find more information about all 3 of Dave's books, including the upcoming Barry the Offbeat Bear, interactiverhythm.com/rhythm rhyme series. Kid Lit with a Beat. Check it out.
if you want to show the next graphic, you can share with folks.
Yes. So Dave was kind enough to give patrons of the channel. You guys know that if you don't know by now, I don't know what to tell you because I say it on every video, like over 1,000 videos on World Drum Club. We are community supported at patreon.com/Kalani. So go there. You can get 15% off with the code for patrons. So you need to be a patron. Go there and get the code. That's very kind of you.
No, absolutely. I appreciate you sharing with your folks and your community at large about the mission of combining literacy and rhythm making. And you and I both do a whole lot of playing, but I think we're anyone in this is trying to find some sort of a legacy. And I think to try to get kids more connected with their families, with their communities, with their own emotions, if I can do a little bit of that between now and the time I'm no more going out there drumming, it'd be really cool. And so I appreciate you letting me share it with your folks. So a little bit of an incentive to maybe encourage folks to check out all the great work that you're doing over on Patreon. Happy to do it.
Well, I appreciate it. And I appreciate everybody who's still watching. If you've been watching this for this amount of time, thank you. And thank you, Dave, for sharing your gifts. I mean, I could go on and on about you and all your talents. But you guys go check out Dave's work. What is your main, is interactive rhythm? Tell me the main site.
So interactiverhythm.com is the resource site for music educators, therapists, facilitators. My program site is Beaten Path Rhythm Events. So any folks that are trying in the Southeast, especially interested in doing live programming, authors visits, drum circles at schools, community. That's what that's that primary site. And then I do some corporate work as well over on team rhythm programs. So try to parcel them out a little bit.
Nice.
It got a little crowded, everything being on one site.
Yeah.
kind of like this room. Everything's in one room. A little crowded, right?
I know what you mean. But hey, better than the opposite, right? So I'd rather be surrounded by instruments than not. So I hope everybody watching, thank you so much. And be sure to like, subscribe, hit the, where's my bell? I can't reach it. I'll hit this. Hit the bell. Thank you. So you get notifications. We're going to wrap up right now. But thanks again, Dave. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kalani. Great to be here on World Drum Club.
All right. See you guys next time.